What is up, Bat Family? Welcome to Batman Theory, where we take a deep dive into comic books, movies, cartoons, and everything in between that has to do with the Dark Knight.
And here we go.
So guys, in today's episode, I want to go back into our what-if scenario. What if Batman was in the Marvel Universe? So, to expand upon that, we had our previous video, what if Batman was in the Marvel Universe, and I discussed what city he would defend. And I ended up picking New York City, specifically in the 1970s and maybe 80s, just because of New York's sheer crime rate at that point because of budget cuts. So now I want to discuss what Batman's backstory would be. Because every video I want to talk about something a little different, and we'll talk eventually about what he's going to look like, where in New York City or right outside New York City he lives. Does he have Wayne Manor still? You know, what's different about him? And for the sake of it, and you know, guys, this is just my interpretation, but this is what I think would be kind of how Marvel would do it. I'm going to go with what would Batman's backstory be first. So before we get started, guys, I could ask, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you do like our content. We've been on YouTube for about a month now, and we are growing. As soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, we are going to be giving away a backlit Batman sign to the winner. All you got to do is subscribe and comment on the video, and you'll automatically be entered. Okay, so now we're going to be going into the backstory of Bruce Wayne. Is Bruce Wayne still going to be Bruce Wayne? Well, I got to be honest, guys. If you look at Marvel's history, Marvel loves characters with alliterative names. What I mean by that is Stan Lee seems to love alliteration. You have Bruce Banner, you have Peter Parker, you have Matthew Murdock, you have Wade Wilson, and the list goes on and on and on. So you have a lot of those type of characters. Hell, back in 2001, Stan Lee actually tried reinventing Batman for DC in one issue, and he didn't even name him Bruce Wayne. He actually named him Wayne Williams, and that's actually going to be the name I go with this. So Bruce Wayne would no longer be Bruce Wayne, and this pains my heart to say, but for the sake of these videos and, you know, just to kind of have fun, guys, we're going to go with something different, because if I said everything was going to be the same, that'd be no fun. And I do think the Batman as we know him would be completely different. So for the sake of, if Batman was in the Marvel Universe, I do think his name would be changed to something alliterative, and for the sake of it, I think we go with what the mecca of all Marvel writers, Stan Lee, would have given him, and that's Wayne Williams. So I'm going to ignore the rest of the backstory that Stan Lee gave Wayne Williams, because honestly, it's not very good. Essentially, they made him the son of a police officer who's killed. He is framed for murder, ends up going to prison, yada yada. I don't like any of that. I think it's very boring, and I think Stan Lee was confined by a lot of the backstories he'd already written for people, and Batman being such a larger-than-life character, it's hard to imagine anything else. So this is, you know, if Batman was still written in 1939, what would he be like in Marvel now? And I do think he would evolve over time, but let's pretend we're in the 70s setting and he's in New York City. So the backstory, I think, would go something like, Wayne Williams is the son of Thomas and Martha Williams. Thomas is a police officer, and Martha is a interior designer. They have a modest living in New York City. They live in Alphabet City, because I don't really know many. I know Brooklyn's already taken, Queens is taken, Hell's Kitchen's taken with superheroes. We got to give Batman something different for Marvel. So in this instance, Wayne Williams is born and raised in Alphabet City, New York. Just a little corner of the sliver of the city, and middle class, has a very good childhood, and all this changes actually when Wayne Williams is in college. He goes to study to become a doctor. He really wants to be a scientist of some sort. He doesn't know exactly what he wants to be, perhaps a zoologist. In particular, he wants to study bats. So in one study, him and his professor that he looks up to, his mentor, are working on a new bat serum. Very similar to something with Kirk Langstrom and Man-Bat, or even something very similar to Morbius in the Marvel comics. The difference here is Wayne gets bit, he turns into Batman, and it's kind of like an overnight thing. He changes in this metamorphic style, whole body's changing from the inside out, and he looks almost like a werewolf with wings. Absolutely terrifying. Flies to the city, and he doesn't even really know what's going on. He's panicking. Now, one of the things that makes him special and unique is he can actually control his ability. So when he wants to, it's kind of similar, I shouldn't say completely, but it's very similar to the Hulk, where eventually the Hulk does learn to control turning into the Hulk or not, but it takes him a very long time. Now, Wayne actually gets this very quickly on, because at first I think the stories would revolve around the curse it is and how inconvenient it is when he turns into Batman, is what we're going to call him. And there are some very interesting differences here, though. So we'll get into later on what makes him want to fight crime and what forces him to do it, because at first Wayne's not a bad person, but at first, let's be honest, he uses his powers for other reasons than just fighting criminals and doing good. He actually uses it for a little more selfish purposes first. So we'll get to that, guys, in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys next time.